So welcome to Series 1 finale with our special guest, Peter J. Redding. He's a master certified coach, coach trainer, mentor coach, and co-founder of Coach for Life Institute. And more specifically, Peter is actually our coach trainer. So we're excited to have him here with us. And so thank you for joining us for this special edition episode, Peter.
Thank you for having me, and I'm proud of each one of you.
Thank you so much. So we're going to go through and introduce ourselves really briefly, and then we're going to hop into the questions. I'm Alana Brown, owner of Journey with Alana, LLC.
And I'm Tanya Wanamaker, self-empowerment coach and owner of Mesh Coaching.
And I am Andresa Cesario, owner of Right Coaching.
Awesome. Thank you. So our first question is really going to get to really the fact that you've been in the business for more than 25 years in the coaching industry. So over that time, what are some of the most significant shifts that you've witnessed?
Wow, there's been several actually. I think number one is that it's gone global, quite literally. When I started coaching, we knew of 8 coaching schools that were teaching coaching, if you can believe it, 8. They were mostly North American centric. We had heard about some that came out of England, but mostly it was a North American impetus that at least that I was involved with. And now I think the last figures that I saw from the International Coaching Federation is that they have chapters or coaches in like 143 countries of the world. So, I mean, this is in Russia. I've trained people out of Moscow. There are people in the African continent that are professional certified coaches all over Asia. I mean, and so it has become a global phenomena. That's probably one of the biggest ones. I would say other one is that a lot of coaching started off being topical, superficial. How do I become more productive? How do I get more stuff done? How do I get more focused on what's important to get done during the day? And Coach for Life was one of the early companies that said, yeah, that's good. That's part of being human, you know, but there's also the human being behind it. So there's been much more of a movement overall globally, again, from not just talking and helping the client get stuff done, which we still do, we coaches worldwide, but also how are you developing as a human being? What's happening for you? Are you becoming a better human being as a parent, a better human being as a sibling, a better human being as a contributor of the betterment of mankind, and so on? And it's one that I love seeing, frankly. I think ultimately that's where coaching is going to accelerate the development of individuals, of companies, of mankind. Yeah. Other major movements. Yeah, there's a concept early on that was, this is one-on-one coaching. I coach an executive, I coach an entrepreneur, I coach a mom, I coach an author. And that's it. That's coaching as we know it. And then it grew to, okay, so we could do group coaching. Oh, okay. So we could have teams that are working together that could be coached, or individuals that aren't necessarily working together, but on a common theme. One of our early coaches, for example, literally, this goes back probably 22 years ago. She started group coaching for women that were over 40 that were wanting to get back into a primary relationship. That was her group. And so she got people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, but that was their one common goal. So group coaching came into being. Organizations then saw coaching and go, wow, this is really huge. We got a team of people trying to launch a product or start a new venture up, a new country, a new whatever. But we have people from finance, we have people from marketing, we have people from customer support, logistics, and manufacturing, and all, different disciplines. But why don't we use a coach to support them to have better communication, make decisions, get stuff done, keep track, et cetera, et cetera. So that has come into being, and on and on. So coaching has permeated school systems, prison systems, civics, governmental agencies, again, worldwide.
Yeah.
And it has become now, what's interesting is the International Coach Federation, it started off Coach Federation, just changed their name to International Coaching Federation, because the act of coaching is no longer thought of exclusive to that one-on-one person that's receiving the support. It's moving into leadership development. It's moving into better parenting. It's moving into educators or learning and development work in organizations to bring in more questioning, as the three of you would understand, and less telling, and having that philosophical or that mindset that will support the people to grow faster, develop more, and take on more ownership of what they want to do. So there's been lots of things, and I think for all practical purposes, we're just starting. We're just really getting started as a profession of coaching.
Yeah. Wow. And the way I describe coaching is always, I always tend to use the word evolution or evolving, because I really see it as that's what it's doing. And it's also what just came to me as you were talking was it seems to be a profession that's very aware of itself. And so that it also maybe accelerates that ability to evolve and grow and really adapt to the needs of the people. And so all the shifts that you just mentioned sparked that for me in terms of what coaching has done. And I'm excited to see what it's going to continue to do.
Me too. Me too. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I like you mentioned with the change in the name from coach to coaching. I was meaning to ask you about that, but I love that how it really is bringing in the idea of this way of being into all aspects of a person's life. And so it's weaving the idea and the things that are learned through coaching into all areas of their life and the ways that they show up to the world and how they want to approach their relationships, their jobs, their personal goals. It's wonderful.
Very true. Yeah, very true, Tanya.
All right.
Awesome. Andresa, what are your thoughts going on over there, lady?
Oh, let me unmute myself. I was just taking it all in. Well, you guys covered it. I mean, I am just so fascinated by this modality because it truly changed who I am at the core of my being. Whereas other modalities, I feel like complemented the coaching, and but the coaching is what really got me to apply everything that I have been learning throughout my journey, and it really has enabled me to really excel in all areas of my life. Really, I'm a total different person today than I was when I first met Peter Redding. And I am so grateful for the experience, truly.
Great. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're striking a nerve there in terms of coaching, sort of by definition, or from the very embryonic flicker of what coaching could do or what it could be and how it might be different than other helping modalities, was that the human being, the individual, is a source of their own best answer. I mean, that's really where coaching started. And what we've now learned through research and learned through experience, and having thousands of professional coaches coming back together under the tutelage of ICF, International Coaching Federation. What makes coaching so powerful? What do you do that makes it, transformative in nature? It's the concept that most people are living an unconscious life and are following the guidelines that were laid down by their parents, by their culture, by their gender, by their sexual identities, by their companies, by their communities, and so on and on, right? And even in the arts, you know, we're influenced by our movies, we're influenced by our music, we're influenced by those things that are around me. It's like a fish in a fishbowl, right? So I'm absorbing that environment. And what coaching does is say, okay, so that's all well and fine, and I respect that, I honor that, but who are you deep down? And so the way I say that from a spiritual standpoint is, you know, who did your creator make you to be? And are you honoring that, or to what degree? And so coaching supports the individual's development in a very, very conscious manner. We can ask some very simple questions as coaches, and the client's going to go, huh, I never thought of that. Or I never even thought to question that.
Mhm.
I've just taken it face value. That's the way I was I grew up, and that's the belief that was impregnated to me at 4 years old, and at 14 and 24 and 34 and 44 and so on. And it's like, I've never really, is that still true for me or not? And if it's not, so there's part and parcel with this is, what does an individual at 37 years old have to unlearn or let go of, even when it's scary?
Yeah.
To honor that part of themselves that hasn't been given the wherewithal, the voice, the space, the okayness, the non-judgment of, what if it's just okay to be Peter Redding? What if it's just okay and that's enough? In fact, that's more than enough. Or what if it's just okay to be Alana? Or what if it's just okay to be Tanya in her brilliant, magnificent, awesome, original self? Exactly. And the same thing with you, Andresa. So coaching is that opportunity for that safe space for the client to walk into and reclaim their best and brightest self, and give them time to go through the crying, maybe, or the letting go of the old personas or the old expectations. Just because I'm a male, just because I'm Caucasian, just because I was born in the baby boomers, does that mean that I have to retire now? The answer would be no. Because I get to do it my way. And I'm courageous enough and aware enough to do that consciously and healthily.
You know, Peter, along those lines, it's funny that you mentioned, going in deeper and questioning this, because the first thing that most people ask us when we meet them is, what do you do? Right? There's not that question about who they are beyond the limits of just reducing to one particular role or function that they play in life. And I love this, that you have taught all of us here how to really return and reclaim that part of our core self through the processes that you have in place that are magnificent, magnifying your essence, right? You taught me that.
Thank you.
And you have a mission to really support 1 billion people. I think it was 1 billion people, to kind of reclaim and get to know who they were created to be. And I would love to hear of what's meaningful in that intention for you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I've since modified that a bit. And it's like, okay, so I want the first billion to know themselves at that core level that you're talking about so eloquently by 2025. Because I don't want to leave out the other 6.5 billion people. So, but that's kind of the tipping point. The significance of that for me is, I think it's the root of happiness. I think it's a root of fulfillment. In fact, I've gone so far as to say a person will not and cannot have a deep sense of fulfillment, deep sense of personal fulfillment, if they don't know who they are. So
Sure.
if you think about that piece of it and what we just talked about in terms of, okay, so every human being hopefully has grown up with a supportive environment. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people because of economics, because of education, because of race, because of all kinds of different aspects. But whatever they've grown up with, can they have a space that they get to know who they are at the depths of their being and start changing their beliefs of, I'm not worth it. I'm not smart enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm not whatever enough. And start changing a bit core belief of, wait a minute, my creator made me the way I am. I am innately magnificent. And then go to articulate that through, like you say, some of the processes that we've, created over the last 25 years. And one that I make available now globally through CoreSELFie.com is a little 10-minute version of a self-discovery process, which is, I can't even believe that it's as powerful as it is, because it came through me, and I believe it came from spirit. To have them articulate, here's my life purpose. Wow. Really? Yeah, in less than 10 minutes. Here's some of my core values in terms of who I am most authentically, my way of being. And when I'm honoring that, I feel good about myself. I feel good about how I showed up. Even if people don't like me, even if people are arguing against me, even if people are telling me that's not the way you should be. And then that becomes that individual's North Star, their true north, their compass, their GPS, their magnetic guiding force within themselves. And if they were to then make the decisions in their life based on that, we'd have world peace overnight. We wouldn't have anybody starving to death. We wouldn't have people that don't have clean water to drink. We wouldn't have people fighting. If they knew who they really were and honored that same sense of divinity, magnificence, dignity in every other human being that is on the planet next to them, their neighbors, their colleagues at work. So for me, that's where it all starts. So if I can support that, or just move that needle over, the first 17% of the world's population, then that'll be the tipping point for other people going, wow, she seems happier. Why is she happier? she lives in the same dumpy house that I live in, right next door, or she has, issues with her kids, or, or whatever. Her car's breaking down as much. How come she can't be any happier? I should be. So stop comparing with your own life, and so people then will get interested in, so how do I know, how do I get to the core of my being? And so hopefully this thing goes viral. And I think that's frankly, that's one of my reasons for being on the planet, is to bring this philosophy, technology, mindset, re-examining my life. It's a choice to be miserable. It's a choice to not be courageous. I just want to stay in my little comfortable cubby hole and keep my head down, because I don't want to have it, somebody slap me upside the head saying, just who do you think you are, Peter? Well, I think that I'm a creation of God. Thank you very much. And I also think that you are too.
Wow.
Yeah. So powerful. So powerful. It reminds me of in yoga when they, bow to the other person and say namaste, because what they're saying is, I recognize in you the power that I also recognize within me, and I'm bowing, like we're bowing to each other to honor that part of ourselves that we see. And the process, which unbelievably changed my life and going through it, the 10-minute one and the longer one. Being rooted and anchored in that purpose, almost having your own personal manifesto, and then what you create from that. I mean, it's so different when you have that compass, so that all of your decisions aren't just seemingly haphazard based off of outside circumstances with what somebody has said to you, or what struggle is showing up in your life. It's no matter with those things happening, there is a steadiness within me that is non-changing. And that's what I'm tuned into when I'm making my decisions, that core part of me that never leaves. So there's no fear of I won't be happy if something changes on the outside of me. What makes me happy is already within me, and how do I recognize and bring that out, and even have awareness of that's coming from within me, so that I can regenerate that over and over and again when I'm facing rejection and hard times. But so powerful. I mean, everything, I'm getting chills when you talk and speak of this, because it's one of those things. I share that passion with you. I just, like, it feels like a purpose, like the first purpose in life that's weaved into all of the other goals and things that we have. It's like the first purpose that stays with all the other purposes you have. And I get chills, and that, like, I just want it to be out there in the world. Like, if only everybody knew this beautiful secret.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, and thank you for being an advocate for that. And you speak to it very eloquently. An aspect of it that I didn't say is, and I believe that this is unchanging. I think that these things are within me when I was born, maybe before I was born. It's there now. It will be there. Now, as a human being, I have a free will. I can ignore it. I can develop it. I can choose not to develop it. I can choose to align my decisions with it. That's I believe, that's part of my free will as a human being. But once I do know it, I have at least an opportunity to check against that, as you say. Is this choice that I'm faced with in alignment with who I know myself to be or not? And I may still make that choice for other reasons, right? It pays more money. It's more gratifying. I have a bigger ego. I mean, there's lots of other competing factors here. So, but there's at least a consciousness and awareness that's available now that was not available, 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I love that part.
Yes. And by the way, we will definitely be putting CoreSELFie.com in the description of this video for anyone that would like to check that out. And Tanya, as you were mentioning before, both that 10-minute and the full version that we do in the foundation session, I love keeping that in my practice, because every single person I've done it with always says some form of wow, and they love it. And I enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing it when we did it in our training, but with each client, a prospective client, because I feel like it's such a beautiful gift that they give to themselves. And I am such an advocate for making sure that they know that this is something that they move forward with. It's not just a do it and forget it exercise, like, use it. And then that's what we do in each session. We come back to that. So I am so, I feel so blessed to have that exercise, to be able to gift to people, because it's powerful. So we absolutely will keep that in the description for anyone that is curious about what we're talking about. And it's like Peter said, it's 10 minutes. Watch what happens.
Yeah, it brings a knowing into, you mentioned, Alana, like, oh, not just forget about it after you do it, which so many courses and seminars and workshops that we do, that's what happens. You retain so little of it once you get back to your regular life and become so busy. But this touches on a part of you that I know for me had never been touched before. And so it's almost like a knowing that you can't unknow. Even if you try to, it's like you can't unknow, because it touched like the absolute truth of something that no busyness or anything else can ever unknow from your mind. And you can't help but have it in your mind in everything you do from that point forward.
Right.
Indeed.
Crazy. It's great.
Crazy.
It's like no turning back now. I know. So I can choose not to align, but I still know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That was
exactly.
a great way to say it, Alana. I can choose not to align, but I know, but it's still, the voice doesn't go away though.
Right.
Right, because now you know.
I can snooze it for a little bit, and sometimes I do, but it's like, it's almost impossible.
Mhm.